Okay. All right. I think we're all here.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much. First, I'd like to apologize to everyone. I was tardy this evening, and so I do want to respect everyone's time. And so when I am tardy, I would like to offer my apologies for that. And I wasn't the best prepared for tonight, but I promise that we'll get through everything in the most expeditious but thorough way as possible. So thank you for your patience. Good evening, everyone. I'm Sean Atkins, Chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission for the City of East Point. Today is October 15th, 2020. And at this time, I'm calling to order our October meeting. Staff, would you please sound roll call to establish quorum?
Commissioner Sean Atkins.
Present.
Commissioner Joel Tucker-Todd. Commissioner Fan.
Greg, you're on mute.
I know he's here.
Well,
he needs to state for the record.
Yeah. Okay. Say that for the record.
I'm here.
Commissioner Lovett. Commissioner Bell.
I'm here.
Commissioner Miller.
Present.
Commissioner McKnight.
I'm here.
Commissioner Bryant. Commissioner Fields.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. At this point, we recognize a moment of silence. So if everyone would please join me in the moment of silence. Okay, thank you. Commissioners, the agenda has been presented to us by the staff. At this time, I entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as printed.
Motion to adopt the agenda as printed.
Is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner
Fields.
Fields. Is it moved by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Fields to adopt the agenda as presented? All in favor, sound aye.
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 All opposed, sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The agenda is adopted. Our next agenda item is approval of our September 17 meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve our September 17 meeting minutes?
Motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Fan, seconded by Commissioner Miller, that we approve our September 17, 2020 meeting minutes. All in favor, sound aye.
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 All opposed, sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. Our September 17 meeting minutes are approved. Our next agenda item is old business. Are any of these items old? No. Our next agenda item is new business. Case number 2020Z as in zebra -007-09. Staff, would you please sound this agenda item?
Chairman, item number 1, case number 2020Z-007-09. Applicant is Courtney Stewart. Location is 1556 Naval Avenue. Applicant seeks to rezone subject property from I-1 light industrial to MIX mixed use to allow for development of a community center.
Okay, thank you. This agenda item is a rezoning. It will require a public hearing. At this time, I'll read our rules for public hearings as soon as I find them. Bear with me one second, please. Albert, did you send them, or Tony, did you send them to me?
I thought that
I sent him about maybe 5 minutes ago.
Okay.
Let me resend them.
Just one second, okay. Okay. All right, conducting public meetings remotely is a new process that we've been going through now for about 7 months for most local governments due to the coronavirus outbreak and requirements on physical distancing. The Planning and Zoning Commission has recently started using Zoom, a video conferencing platform, to hold its meetings while making them available to the public to join remotely. Those attending these Zoom meetings are reminded that these are public meetings with established rules of procedure and decorum, which will be followed to the extent reasonably possible. The meetings are held to address zone business of the city, and to that end, anyone participating in the virtual meeting will be expected to follow the rules for public speaking at these meetings. Those in attendance have either accessed the meeting via telephone or a webinar link. Unless you are an applicant or representative of an applicant actively addressing the commission, I ask that you mute your microphone. Unless you sign up to speak during public comment on a particular agenda item prior to the calling of this meeting as set forth in the public notice, you will only be allowed to listen to the meeting. You will not be allowed to speak. The standard rules of procedures require a person who wishes to address the commission during the meeting to fill out a card providing his or her name and his or her address to identify the item that he or she wishes to speak on. Since no persons will be physically present, applicants and or the applicant's representative wishing to address the commission have already signed up and identified themselves. They will be called upon by the chair or the staff upon this sign up. Some members of the public may have email comments to the planning and zoning email address prior to the call of this meeting, and those email comments will be noted and read for the record when a particular agenda item is called after the applicant's presentation to the commission has been completed. Additionally, some members of the public may have left a message with the Planning and Zoning Department prior to the calling of this meeting, requesting an opportunity to comment on a particular agenda item over the phone during the meeting. Those individuals will be called by staff immediately prior to the calling of the agenda item in which they have expressed an interest and given an opportunity to listen to the proceedings on the item to address the commission at the appropriate time. Persons both favoring and opposing the proposed case will be provided an opportunity to address the commission. The applicant for the zoning case or the applicant designated representative, if any, will be entitled to speak for a total of 15 minutes. Those who oppose the proposed zoning case will then be permitted to speak for a total of 15 minutes. However, understanding that this is a new platform and may take a little longer logistically, we will be relatively liberal with time until we get adjusted to this platform in this format. By majority vote, the commission may increase the total time of speakers provided that each side is given the same amount of time. The zoning applicant may reserve a portion of his per allotted time for rebuttal. After the allocated time expires, the microphone of the speaker then will be muted by the host. After speakers for and against an agenda item have been given a full opportunity under these rules to address the commission, the public hearing will be closed, and the commission shall discuss the case amongst its members. Members of the public are not permitted to speak during the commissioner's deliberation. When not speaking, please mute your microphone to avoid background noise that can be disturbing to the meeting. If you fail to do so, the host will do it for you. Also, should any recognized speaker desire the commission to view a document at any time, please request that the host find and share that document. Due to security concerns, no one other than the host will be permitted to share the meeting screen. Speakers must adhere to the rules of decorum. Each speaker should speak only upon being recognized by the chair and only to the merits of the proposed zoning ordinance under consideration. Shall address remarks only to the commission and shall refrain from making personal attacks on any other speaker. The chair may refuse the speaker the right to continue if, after being first cautioned, the speaker continues to violate the rules of decorum, or the violator may be removed from the Zoom meeting upon request of the chair. Please understand that staff will be multitasking a lot during the meeting and may not be able to respond to a chat inquiry immediately, if at all. However, should you experience technical difficulties in the meeting, please feel free to use the chat feature on the Zoom screen and staff will attempt to assist you. We thank you for your patience and understanding as we work through these challenging times with this technology. You've heard our rules for public hearings. Commissioners, at this time, I entertain a motion to open a public hearing for case number 2020-0-007-09.
Motion to open the public hearing.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Fields to reopen the public hearing for case number 2020-0-007-09. All in favor sound aye.
Aye.
All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now open. Do we have our applicant, Courtney Stewart, present this evening?
Hello, Chairman. Good evening.
Hi, Courtney. You can go ahead and present your case to the commission, Courtney.
All right. Thank you. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone is having a great Thursday. Thank you for taking the time to listen to what we have going on.
Courtney, Courtney, before you get into your presentation, as per the rules, you must state your first and last name and your current address.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Courtney Stewart, and the address is 1556 Nebel Avenue.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much for being here this evening. I have prepared a visual presentation to show everyone based on what the vision is for this property at 1556 Nebel. I also have two people from my team on the Zoom as well. One is my father, Mr. James Stewart, who is my role model and someone has been very, very influential in my life and career. He is a retired Atlanta police officer who served on the force for over 40 years. And he's also highly involved in the 100 Black Men of Atlanta, the South Metro chapter, where he was previously the president and currently sits on the board. And I also have Linnell, who heads up the Right Hand Foundation. The Right Hand Foundation is my foundation that I launched, and we provide free housing for single mothers and children throughout Metro Atlanta. So I would like to start by sharing my screen to start the visual presentation that I put together. All right. So first of all, I want to go through the vision. So our vision for 1556 Nebel is to develop a community center. And this community center is to provide a local state-of-the-art venue in the East Point community where residents, schools, churches, foundations, and youth programs can have an affordable, upscale space to host galas, seminars, performing arts programs, and receptions. We feel like this vision aligns with the City of East Point equitable development and inclusion plan to help redevelop and revitalize the city by having development that meets the needs of residents. Next, we will go down to our purpose. I am an Atlanta native. I was born and raised in Southwest Atlanta, and I grew up in the community in Southwest Atlanta throughout Cascade, East Point, and College Park. So giving back to my community is very, very important to me. In my professional career, I've been blessed to have success where I'm in a position now to reinvest in the communities that I grew up in. So that's a big part of our purpose. And our purpose is to invest and give back to the communities that I grew up in and supporting legacy residents, revitalizing vibrant neighborhoods, and providing an outlet to bring unity, diversity, and build a sense of community. Earlier, I was talking about the Right Hand Foundation, and this tab I named the flagship because this property will share offices for the Right Hand Foundation. And just to tell you a little bit more about the Right Hand Foundation, we've done so much throughout the community. I have purchased properties throughout Atlanta, and I give those properties to candidates that qualify for the program. And these are single mothers with children, and we put them in the homes free for a full year, no utilities, no rent. And we also provide outside of housing, educational programs, and an infrastructure to prepare them for independent sustainability. We provide an array of resources such as financial literacy, career coaching, and holistic wellness that focuses on life skills and therapeutic services. We've been actively involved in the East Point and College Park communities by partnering with Woodland Middle School, the College Park Housing Authority, and local foundations within East Point. We look forward to making a bigger impact in the East Point and College Park communities and also throughout Metro Atlanta. So this is something that's very special to me because hopefully this property will be the flagship and cornerstone for the Right Hand Foundation and continuing to give back in the East Point community. So now is the current state of the property. Our plan is to fully renovate the existing building. The interior will showcase a modern state-of-the-art aesthetic that will be welcoming to the East Point community. The exterior will have stunning curb appeal and will help balance the mixed use of vibrant neighborhoods and light industrial. So as you can see now, the current state of the property is a bit of an eyesore, but the plan is to really go in and develop this property and add value to the community and just give a welcoming place for the people in the community to be able to come. And so we have some renderings that I would like to share of what the vision is. So this is the future. This is what we plan to do on the as we revitalize the property. We will do a full remodel, top to bottom, and we'll go in and really turn this place around. And we also have a digital rendering as well that I'll show as well. But our plan is to really just go in and take this existing building and make it state of the art, make it modern, make the aesthetic A1, and give it curb appeal. And, you know, once again, balance this community and just bring really, really vibrant vibes and welcoming love and culture to the community. And so lastly, I'll show, well, this is actually the floor plan as well that we have that shows what the plan is on the inside. We have a large space where we can have people from the community come in to host events. We'll have a smaller space as well. And we'll have offices, a reception. We'll have, you know, of course, women and men's bathrooms that will be, you know, enough to handle the amount of people that are there, changing rooms. And this gives a view of the floor plan. And to the left, it shows the parking lot. We'll plan on adding more parking, and the existing building where it is now on the corner of Nabel and Lawrence Street. And then also we have a virtual rendering as well, just to kind of give you some different angles. So we'll pull that up next. Just bear with us 1 second.
It's not playing on the screen for some reason. If you give me a second, I do apologize.
Okay.
And this is something that we could email over to everyone as well if it's having problems playing on the Zoom.
Courtney, how many more slides did you have for your presentation?
This was the last one, though it was just a virtual rendering of the building. But, yeah,
Gotcha.
I can send that out to Tony, and he can share that with everyone.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Are there any other proponents here to speak in favor of this zoning matter? Any other proponents here to speak in favor? Are there any opponents here to speak against this zoning matter? Any opponents here to speak against this zoning matter? Hearing none and seeing none, commissioners, at this time I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
So moved by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Lovett. And I would also like for the record to reflect that Commissioner Lovett has joined us in the meeting. Thank you. So it's been moved by Commissioner Miller, seconded by Commissioner Lovett, that we close the public hearing for case number 2020 Z as in zebra -007-09. All in favor sound aye.
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 All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now closed. Staff, would you please sound your recommendation?
For case number 2020 Z-007-09, applicant Courtney Stewart, for his request to rezone subject property from I-1 light industrial to MIX. These are the maps of the zoning. This is a zoning map that does prove his zoning classification of I-1. And we talked last week in regards to the future land use map being maybe a conflict in regards to what the property zoning is. The property is under the future land use map designation of traditional urban neighborhood, which does not allow for any sort of uses that are not residential. We were under the impression maybe that this could have been a possible oversight or a mistake. I did speak with former staff of the department who informed me that there wasn't a mistake, that this was the accurate future land use map. And so because of the conflict in regard to the land use map, staff recommends denial. However, if the Planning and Zoning Commission recommends approval, staff does recommend that the project be rezoned as requested for the MIX mixed use zoning district, and that the city initiates an amendment to the future land use map to include MIX zoning classifications.
Okay, commissioners, we've heard from the applicant, Mr. Courtney Stewart. We've also heard staff's recommendation. Because this is a rezoning, I'll entertain a motion. Please make sure that your motion is stated in the form of a recommendation. Let us not all speak at once.
If I can unmute myself, Mr. Chair, if I can unmute myself, I'll do it, okay?
Okay.
I want to make a motion that we approve it with the staff recommendations to go to recommend to the council that it be rezoned for mixed use zoning district, and that and they look at the city initiative to amend the future land use map to accommodate this project. So that's going to be my motion, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Fan. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Fan and seconded by Commissioner Lovett that this body recommends approval of this agenda item. And in addition to that, a part of the approval would be to have the property rezoned to the requested mixed use zoning designation. And then also for the city to initiate an amendment to the future land use map. Are there any comments, questions, or concerns?
Question.
Yes, Commissioner Fields.
I was able to see that today. Wouldn't this come under the heading of spot zoning, which we had a case the last time we met? Someone wanted to do the same type of thing. And changing a district for one particular building doesn't seem right that we can do that. So that's my concern with it. And the future land use, the question is how many years before the that area is going to turn around and become something other than what it is. Right now, it's a light industrial district, and everything over there is industrial. You know, I visited that today as well. So I was just, wondering, and it doesn't look accessible for the community. I'm trying to figure out how's the community center going to, jive with that small amount of space over there, and there's no parking. So anyway, that's my concern with it. Thank you.
Are there any other comments, questions, or concerns? The motion is on the floor, made by Commissioner Fan, seconded by Commissioner Lovett, that this body recommends approval for case number 2020 Z as in zebra -007-09, with the condition that the property is rezoned is requested to be rezoned to an MIX zoning district, and also that the city initiate an amendment to the future land use map. All in favor sound aye.
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 All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The motion carries. Our next agenda item is case number
And that should be
Our next agenda item is, can you increase it, please?
Yeah.
Case number 2020 M as in Mary -006-09. Staff, would you please sound this agenda item?
This is a plan. The applicant seeks to amend City East Point Comprehensive Plan Update 2017 Community Goals, Section 9, to incorporate the East Point City Agriculture Plan.
Okay. This item also requires a public hearing. Commissioners, at this time, I entertain a motion to open the public hearing for case number 2020 M as in Mary -006-09.
Mr. Chair, offer a motion to open the for 2020 M-006-09.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Lovett and a second by Commissioner Miller that we open the public hearing for case number 2020 M as in Mary -006-09. All in favor sound aye.
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 All opposed sound nay.
Aye.
All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now open. The applicant is the City of East Point. Staff, would you please present this case?
The applicant actually has their plan. If Ms. Baggett is available to present it. Anna, are you there?
Yes, I am here, and we have our presentation ready.
You should be able to share it.
Okay, there we are. So yes, like Tony said, I am Anna Baggett. I am a planner with the Atlanta Regional Commission, and we spoke to many of you last week about this plan, and we're looking forward to speaking with you again. So again, like Tony said, we are hoping that the city agriculture plan can be adopted as part of the community goals section in the comprehensive plan. I also have with me Sarah Benedict / now Brown. She got married just recently from Foodwell Alliance, who is also going to help me present this presentation about the plan. Sarah, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah Benedict, now Brown, as Anna mentioned, the Policy and Advocacy Manager at Foodwell Alliance, and I wanted to thank the Commission for welcoming us here today. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to join you to discuss the City Agriculture Plan. I'm sorry I wasn't able to join last week, but I'm glad y'all got the opportunity to meet our Executive Director, Kate Connor. I know tonight we're mainly set to focus on your questions regarding the plan document itself, but without being repetitive from last week, I just wanted to very quickly ground us again in the background of the plan. So I'll run through the next few slides very quickly. Starting here, this, oh, can you go back? I'm sorry. Just to reiterate, this is the basic sentiment of why we're here today. We really believe that cities that prioritize urban agriculture in their development will see so many benefits, from economic resiliency to more equitable access to local food, improved health outcomes, and strengthened local ecosystems. So as we know, the plan was formed mainly in partnership between Foodwell Alliance and the Atlanta Regional Commission, but we also contracted with a third-party consultant, Taproot, to conduct our community asset mapping. So here's a review of our timeline. It's hard to believe, but it's been 2 years since we put out the call to our region cities to apply for this program. And now we're here and ready to work with y'all to approve the plan and begin implementing projects. As a quick reminder, something that set this plan apart from a traditional planning process is the extensive community engagement phase that we undertook before planning in order to root all of the plan recommendations in community feedback and priorities. And that feedback from the community engagement phase was distilled down into 7 main community priorities for local agriculture, seen here, that really provided the basis for ARC's planning meeting topics. And of course, integral to the formation of the plan was our steering committee, comprised of local food leaders and advocates, as well as City of East Point economic development and planning staff members. So with that, I'd like to turn it back over to Anna at ARC to dive a bit deeper into some of the plan recommendations, and then we can open it up to your questions.
Again, thank you for listening, and I'm happy to be with y'all again to talk more about this. We will go a little bit into the recommendations of the plan just to give you a little bit more information. Like I mentioned last week, during the second phase of the planning process, ARC guided the steering committee through different sessions designed to brainstorm recommendations that address community priorities. And because of time considerations and some internal conversations, we boiled those 7 priorities that Sarah mentioned down to the 5 that you see on the screen. But each of the 7 priorities from the original community engagement report were addressed in 1 or more of those 5 categories. And again, these 5 categories serve as sections of the plan. I don't know if y'all have had a chance to look at the document, but that's how it's laid out with recommendations addressing each of those priorities. And if you're short on time, each section has a summary table of each recommendation that kind of contains information like if it is a short-term, long-term, or ongoing project. It also lists other applicable priorities. As you may realize that all of these types of projects overlap in what they address, like one that addresses improving local food access might also support local urban growers. So in that table, we also list the overlapping priorities. Furthermore, it offers some information on the ideal lead and support organizations for implementation. And also outline some starting steps to implement the recommendation, as well as offer some case study resources. Like I said, if you are a little bit short on time and can't dive deep into the recommendations, I do recommend that you look through those summary tables. So like Sarah mentioned, I'm going to briefly go through the recommendations and feel free to ask any questions about them as I go through. The first priority area that we talk about is improving local food access, and the recommendations related to this priority are leveraging existing farm to school educational opportunities. And last week we mentioned Fulton County would be one of those organizations that we would need to connect with to implement that. The second being continuing a pursuit of a mobile market partnership. And this recommendation is in reference to the East Point Farmers Market and Market 166, which is a co-op grocery store working to start a brick and mortar store in East Point. But they also wanted to start a partnership to start a mobile market. And that was an initiative started by a couple of our steering committee members wanting to address food insecurity in the wake of COVID. But they also see it as a benefit to moving forward even after the pandemic. The third recommendation is to encourage home growing opportunities through programs and other initiatives. If you're familiar with the Bucket Garden Initiative at the East Point Farmers Market, just I think it was last week, that's the kind of stuff that they're looking to continue implementing. And the fourth recommendation for this section is to develop a healthy corner store initiative in the city. And finally, the fifth is to support the creation of a full service grocery store throughout the city. We recommend looking through existing or new city level incentive programs, or even look to county or state incentive programs. The second priority.
Can I ask a question while she moved through the recommendation? Can I ask a question while she moved through the recommendation? Can you hear me?
Yes, we are.
I got a question Greg, I want to ask. Yes.
Greg, so this is a challenge, and it was discussed last week. As a part of the public hearing, as you know, we don't ask questions. Yeah. And so we would have to wait until the public hearing is closed. Okay. But there was
this is a public hearing.
Okay. This is a public hearing.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
All right. Okay. All right. Then. Well, I'll hold my questions until after.
I apologize. I should not have said that we could stop for questions. But our second priority in the second section of the report are recommendations that aim to support local growers in the city of East Point. And the first recommendation being accommodating urban agriculture and existing incentive and new incentive programs. And that's specific to the economic development incentives that the city has already. But we also offer some other ideas for different incentive programs specifically aimed for urban growers. We also recommend to extend the irrigation water rate to urban farms and backyard growers to reduce operational costs. The third recommendation is developing a list of agricultural resources for an online database and how-to guide for growers supported by the city, as well as our steering committee moving forward. And finally, the fourth recommendation in this section is creating incentives for restaurants and institutions to use and procure local food. Next section. Okay. Related to the role of local government, the plan recommends transitioning the steering committee to the Urban Agriculture Collective. This is a group of incredible individuals. We had one present last week, but they want to continue working to implement the plan in partnership with the city. So that's one of our chief recommendations, is continuing that group in either a form of a 501c3 or its own planning or its own commission. That has yet to be decided. The second recommendation being including urban agriculture stakeholders in the zoning code update process. And I spoke a little bit about that last week, that we understand that you're going to go through a zoning code update, and we just recommend having urban agriculture representatives at the planning table to look at various ways to remove barriers to urban agriculture. Next recommendation is hiring a dedicated staff member to coordinate urban agriculture initiatives between that collective and the city. And I apologize, I skipped one. We also recommend leveraging public land, schools, and utility easements for growing space. And the details of that to be forthcoming, but we recognize that land is scarce. So if there are public programs that could encourage parks to be used as growing space, to set up a community garden or anything else, we want that to be explored further. The second to last recommendation for this section is creating an adopt a lot program to lease vacant lots to urban farmers for growing space. Of course, those vacant lots would have to be city owned. And finally, incorporating urban agriculture more intentionally into planning initiatives, whether that be an LCI study or anything like that, just kind of intentionally thinking about ways to incorporate urban agriculture in different plans. And for the priority of cultivating environmentally resilient practices, some of the recommendations include creating a centralized composting and mulch program, also creating a seed bank, and finally developing a citywide pollinator protection strategy. And last but not least, under the priority to brand East Point as a local food destination, the plan recommends pursuing local messaging opportunities like social media, MARTA advertisements, et cetera, to market East Point as a local food hub. And then the second recommendation is identifying and pursuing local certifications, like not to have a personal plug at all, but this is just one certification that we listed, ARC's Green Community Certification, and that would show East Point's continued commitment to environmental sustainability and urban agriculture. And finally, pursuing co-branding opportunities to incorporate urban agriculture messaging in city initiatives like Mayor Ingram's Healthy Point 90-Day Health Initiative. So that's the plan in a very quick nutshell. Sarah, did you want to say some last words?
Sure. So next steps, where do we go from here? Obviously, we are with y'all tonight. We thank you for welcoming us to your the second meeting with the Planning Commission. We hope to move forward and present this to City Council and eventually have this adopted as an amendment to the comprehensive plan. Once we move through those appropriate channels, we're going to be in the implementation phase, and this is what we've all been waiting for. So we really see the plan as a set of recommendations. Nothing that is in the plan is binding. What we hope is that many of the steering committee members will transition directly into this urban agriculture collective or commission and prioritize programs that serve each of these recommendations. So we don't know yet exactly what they'll want to pursue first. But we do know that we have enough funding behind this initiative that they can really enact some lasting change through programs that serve each of these recommendations. Foodwell Alliance has committed $75,000, and the City of East Point has graciously agreed to match that with in-kind resources. And just 2 weeks ago, we learned that we also received a USDA Regional Food Systems Partnerships grant in the amount of $250,000. And it's important to know that some of that USDA grant has already been earmarked. For instance, some of it will go to financing a 2-year stipend for an urban agriculture manager to really lead the coordination between the Urban Agriculture Commission, the city, any project leads that are within the city, and local food and agriculture groups. So we really feel that that will contribute to the success of the plan once implemented.
Well, I understand from last week that you all probably need more time with the document to review it, but thank you for listening. That is the end of our presentation.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you, Sarah. Are there any other proponents here to speak in favor of this agenda item? Any other proponents here to speak in favor? Hearing none and seeing none. Are there any opponents here to speak against this agenda item? Any opponents, any speakers here to speak against this agenda item? Hearing none and seeing none. Commissioners, at this time, I entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Lovett, seconded by Commissioner Miller, that we close the public hearing for this agenda item. All in favor, sound aye.
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 All opposed, sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now closed. Staff, would you please sound your recommendation?
Mr. Chair, there was I just got looked in the chat. Someone just sent a message that they did say they were a yes as a proponent.
Okay.
Not sure what the procedure is on that.
So Valerie, Ms. Ross?
Yes.
So that looks like that was a slip up on our end. Do we need to go back and open the public hearing, or how should we take that? Hold on, I've just messed up something. How should we take that comment now that the public hearing is closed?
You can make a motion to open the public hearing so that you can read that proponents, or it sounds like it's a proponent's statement on the record. Right. And then you can close it. So just for purposes of making the record complete, I would go ahead and make a motion, recommend you make a motion to open it.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, as you've heard, there is a proponent who did sign up to have their comment read, and due to oversight, we missed that. We've closed the public hearing. On the advice of our attorney, we will, at this time, will entertain a motion to reopen the public hearing for the sake of hearing the comment. So at this time, I entertain a motion to open the public hearing for case number 2020 M as in Mary -00. Help me out.
Sorry, 2020 M-006-09.
Yes. So case number 2020 M as in Mary -006-09. Thank you. Is there a motion?
Motion to reopen the public hearing.
Is there a second? It's been moved by Commissioner Miller, second by Commissioner Lovett, that we reopen the public hearing for case number 2020 M as in Mary -006-09. All in favor sound aye.
Aye.
All opposed sound nay. All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now reopened. Staff, would you please sound the comment from the person who has submitted?
Mr. Tenisio is on the line. He's actually on the call right now. I think he was muted. He's unmuted now. Tenisio. Tenisio. He's unmuted. I'm not sure why we can't hear him.
He said he's speaking.
Yeah, he says he's speaking. We just can't hear him.
You can.
Hello?
Yes. Mr. Tenisio?
Hello?
We should be able to hear you.
I'm speaking.
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Ah, okay. I turned the video on and it worked. All right, sorry about that. So anyway, yes, just as a proponent of this plan, you know, I'm someone who, of course, has worked in the city of East Point since 2012 as an urban agrarian, as well as I've worked in the advocacy sector and the food distribution sector. What I can say about the benefits of this plan is that we do have all of these different sectors working in isolation. What this plan can help do is really formalize a, we'll say, quasi-governmental relationship between the city and the Urban Ag Commission, as well as its respective constituency, to make sure that, as the plan mentions, we become a local food destination. I'll just conclude by saying that currently, many of those assets that we have in East Point that are listed in this plan, I, as an agrarian, I have to take advantage of in other municipalities outside of East Point. So if I wanted to do food distribution, I typically have to go to the city of Decatur. If I want to sell to a restaurant, I go to the city of Decatur. If I want to access compost, I have to go to DeKalb County. Farm to school activities, I typically am doing in the city of Atlanta. So with East Point being able to establish itself as a hub for the food system, this could be a great opportunity for it to establish itself with that proper identity. And I just wanted to propose that a motion be moved forward, hopefully to adopt this plan. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, before we close the public hearing, staff, was there any other proponents or opponents for this agenda item that we've overlooked?
No, sir, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Commissioners, at this time, I entertain a motion to close the public hearing for case number 2020 M as in Mary -006-09.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Fields, seconded by Commissioner Lovett, that we close the public hearing. All in favor sound aye.
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 All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. The public hearing is now closed. Staff, would you please sound your recommendation?
Staff recommends approval of the, make sure I read this correctly. Staff recommends approval of the request to amend the City of East Point Comprehensive Plan Update 2017 Community Goals Section 9 to incorporate the East Point City Agriculture Plan.
Okay. Commissioners, you've heard from the applicant, which is the City of East Point, ARC, and Foodwell. And you've heard from a proponent in addition to those presenters. At this time, I'll entertain a motion. This is a text amendment. Motion should be made in form of recommendations.
I would make a motion that we deny this addition to our ordinance. That's my motion.
Okay, there's been a motion made by Commissioner Fields that this body recommends denial. Is there a second? The motion dies due to a lack of a second. The motion dies due to the lack of a second. Are there any other motions?
No, don't move too fast. Don't move too fast. I had to unmute myself. You know, we're in a new era, okay? I'm going to second this motion for discussion, okay? I'm going to second this motion for discussion. Just give us a minute. You gave the man a minute to come on, and give me a minute to come back on. Okay?
I didn't know you were trying to speak, Commissioner Fan.
All right. Thanks so very much. Give me a minute.
You don't have your video on, and so I didn't see any movement.
Okay. All right.
So
well, I'm here.
Mr. Fan.
I do have, and I said I had a question. I had a couple questions I wanted to ask. Okay?
Exactly.
So I just want to be clear on a couple of things.
Let me give you a second, Commissioner Fan, 1 second.
Okay.
There's a motion to deny made by Commissioner Fields and a second for discussion made by Commissioner Fan. Comments, questions, or concerns?
All right, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
I don't attend work sessions, and I'm not going to attend work sessions, but I'm going to ask questions when it's time for me to ask questions, okay? And I do have a question here. About this whole thing, and it sounds good. I mean, the plan sounds good, and overall. But I'm trying to figure where does the University of Georgia and the Agriculture Department fit in the scheme of your plan when they specialize in what you guys are talking about doing? I didn't hear that, and that question is to whoever made the presentation. I want to know that. Can you explain that to me?
Yeah, so if you look through the plan document, which should have been shared last week, each of the plan recommendations has a summary table, like I was mentioning earlier, and it offers, organizations for lead of implementation and for support roles in implementation. And a number of those recommendations have the UGA Extension Service as a support role. We scanned partners and other people working in this field to see where we can pull those partners in and what other local assets in East Point we could pull in.
The other question that I have for you, I think that you made a statement in terms of land and where is the land that all of this can be housed at in the city of East Point. Let me just share this with you. And I'm just being clear for people viewing and listening, because everybody who know me know how I am. I'm gonna be very vocal to say what I have to say. The issue here is you talk about a whole distribution center in terms of doing what you're planning on doing. I know that what Aaron has been doing with the food market and those things have been going on and been very, very successful. And we've been, doing some things in terms of helping people during this pandemic. However, I just want to know, where are you going to house what you're talking about doing in terms of the program? Where is the land that you're going to be able to do the compost site, to do this and to do all the other things that you're talking about doing. That, and I've seen it done in Atlanta. You know, Atlanta has an area where people plant food right off the belt line. I mean, it's over in my neighborhood. I've seen people getting food out of there and stuff like that. But where is that designation for the city of East Point? Have you determined where you're going to put it at? Because we can't put it downtown. That's prime land. We can't put it downtown. So where are we going to put it at, and what it's going to look like? You know, and that's my question for you, because I heard you say that the land is an issue. So help me to understand what I don't understand.
That is a great question, and I will back up and say that this is more of a strategic plan moving forward, and each of these recommendations are not just going to be implemented without input from anyone else. These are initiatives, programs that we want to achieve, but those initiatives and programs are going to move forward to determine where the land is, say, for that compost recommendation. We are not outlining the specifics of that, but in the recommendation, we have a couple of starting steps of how to start that process, but it is its own process. We are not going to be saying, okay, here's the land, this is it right here. That process will go through East Point's traditional channels, and people will be able to have input in that process.
And the reason I'm a historian, and the reason I'm saying this because East Point had compost sites over there in Ward A and created a landfill over there. And East Point had a compost site over in Ward B, right off of Womack back over in there. So I'm just saying is they've done composting before, but it was illegal. So, I mean, I'm just trying to make sure that whatever we're moving forward and what we're doing on, you know, it's things that sound good may sound good, but the reality of it is the implementation of making it happen is two different things. And that's where I am, okay? And I just got a lot of history here, and I'm just sharing with you the history I have. I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's something we ought to do, because it's about making sure that we're taking care of the least, the less, the lost, and people are fed up. But we got a food bank we done gave them over here. Now we want to do this. We want a food bank. Now we want to create this agricultural thing to make sure that people can plant their own food. I grew up had a garden every year, you know, with my mom. So I understand that. I appreciate it. Honey, you don't have to turn your head. I'm just talking about real talk. I see you over there. But I'm just talking about real talk, okay? Okay, so I'm just saying to you is that I do support it. But I just want to make sure that as we're moving forward and doing it, that we're dotting every I and crossing every T, because the devil is in the details, very much in the detail. And what we may decide and vote on in the implementation of it will be totally different than what we as a commission recommend, and then what the council end up voting that people will do just different than what we decided to do. I just want to let you know, I will be watching, but I will be supporting what you guys are planning on doing. So thank you so very much.
Thank you for that.
Any other comments, questions, or concerns?
Well, I have a comment.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. I have a couple of questions. The first question has to do with the metrics. Did we ever talk about the number of people we are trying to feed or have gardens, or what are the targets that we're trying to meet? That's number one. Number two, maybe a question for planning for the department, and that is, will this increase or decrease our chances for, and it probably has nothing to do with it, but for a commercial grocery store?
Those are both very good questions. As far as the first one, we don't have any specific goals in terms of how many people start gardens. Right now, this is just the start. This is a strategic plan to start to have a local food ecosystem that is comprehensive. East Point already has a lot of the assets. It's just really about connecting them, and also just encouraging an urban agriculture, just programs and stuff, but we don't have any specific goals related to that. And can you please repeat your second question?
The second, well, I'll repeat the second question, but let me continue with the first one, because I keep hearing the phrase food desert, and I don't disagree with that at all, but I want to know what metrics are you using to establish your goals, and what are the goals?
And those are very good questions. The plan does include some data related to food deserts or low income and low access tracts, and we don't have any I guess objective numbered goals. It's just really trying to start the plan, but that is really good feedback. And as far as your second question about
the second question has to do with, if we move forward with this plan, does that increase or decrease, or probably has nothing at all to do with the possibility of getting a commercial grocery store here?
Commissioner, if I may, Commissioner Levitt, we have the director of the Economic Development Department on the line. Mm-hmm. And as you all are aware, there's a project called the Commons that's proposed to go across the street from the new City Hall. And if Macion Rogers could just speak a little bit about the grocery store component that's slated to be included in that project. And if you could just talk, because I think that this was discussed maybe a couple of meetings ago at a council meeting.
Thank you, Kim, and good evening, everyone. This is Macion Rogers, Director for the Department of Economic Development, City of East Point. And the short answer is no, it will not deplete our efforts in terms of recruiting a grocery store to the City of East Point community. We know that this is something that has been desired for quite some time. It was certainly part of our 2012 Strategic Economic Development Plan, which called for that. We've been working towards this goal ever since the plan was adopted by the City Council, and we continue to do so. We feel now we have at our midst the closest that we've been in terms of doing this. And so we do have a grocer sited right now to locate at the Commons, and but that's not the only location. We are working with other locations within the city as well that serves a high probability that we will land a grocer very, very soon. We are committed to the effort. We will not stop until we recruit a grocer, because this is a desire of the community as well as the leadership.
Okay, very good. And I have one last question. I promise you it's the last one. It has to do with and I don't remember what you called it, but people that are gardening at home. And I'm assuming what are you including in that? Is it money, materials, or information, all of the above, or more?
Is this in reference to a specific recommendation?
I think it was like your second or third slide, and you had a bullet there for people that have gardens at home or want to start one at home.
Yes. So it was I believe it was a general recommendation of encouraging home growing to increase food security. And that is through various means, like you mentioned. I don't think we have gotten into the details of, if it's a grant. Mm-hmm. We definitely recognize that we want to pursue different programs, giveaways, or anything just to encourage people to start growing at home. But again, these recommendations are kind of, coming from a point of, we have this we're trying to encourage urban agriculture, but there's a lot of stuff working with that. So these recommendations are, hey, we want to do this. In terms of figuring out the details, that's what comes next in the implementation period.
Okay, thank you.
And if I could just jump in on that as well, with regards to the home gardening recommendation, I think something that's really central to this plan is the idea of democratizing food production. And so when we're thinking about land use, we may not be looking for a site of one large urban farm when you're thinking, gosh, where are we going to put this within the city? We don't have that type of land resource. This could look like you know, training different home gardeners so that there's a proliferation of front and backyard gardens that form kind of neighborhood cooperatives. It could look like incorporating urban agriculture into city landscaping. There's a lot of different kind of small pocket areas that we can pursue maybe before, until, and hopefully after we do get that full service grocery store in, that's hopefully also sourcing locally.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Fields, you had a comment?
Yes, I do. The reason I wanted the motion for denial is because this plan is not a city of East Point's origination. From what I could tell, this originated with ARC and the Food Alliance, and they selected our city to be the hub of the food farmers initiative. But I don't think that personally that East Pointers want to have a farm at every block, or they want to have a farm every time you turn around, you got a farm next to your house. You know, I think that we're a suburban city. We're not an agrarian city. And that's number one. It is not in the best interest of our city to be known and branded as the Farm Belt or the city of the farming people, when the farms, the agrarian experience is in our past. We want our kids not to learn how to be farmers, although they can, you know, but if we need initiatives for our kids, we want them to be computer literate. We want them to go into the future. So even the piece that they have here about helping the kids through school and stuff like that, you know, I don't think that it flies well because of course you can have, now I come from the city, so I know about cities. And the reason the cities did farming is because there was a blight of empty buildings with lots with nothing on them. So they encouraged school people. My wife's a teacher. They had one, a school garden. Kids come out, they go play in the garden, they grow some vegetables and stuff like that. They learn stuff. But that's an aside. Based on the goals in this plan, which I did read, by the way, I don't remember everything in it, but I remember enough in it to say that I wouldn't like it for this city. One of the main goals that I've found in this plan is that they want to create and protect space for urban farms. That means we have to rezone our whole city for this plan, when in fact we already have an agricultural district. Why not just go through there and do what they want to do in the districts that's already set out for this work? I don't think we can keep changing, you know, the scope and depth of our city, you know, for every whim and wish that we run into. I think that this plan, okay, grows itself for schools. And also, you know, we have a food bank. They're concerned about our kids and the people who live here can't get enough food and things like that. We have a food bank. And that was a hard fought fight just to get that food bank. So as far as the city's initiatives are concerned, I think we should focus on what we want to do as a city, as opposed to having someone select us as the city of the food capital of the region. I don't believe that that's fair to us. And I don't think that, I think that we're smart enough to think about ways that we can increase and improve our city without going to,
Could you please mute if you're not speaking?
I beg your pardon?
I was saying, if someone is not speaking, if they would please mute. Can the host please control the microphones? I see microphones going on and off. It should be made very clear that this is not an engagement. The public hearing is over. So the commissioner is speaking. The commissioner has the floor. You can continue, Commissioner Fields.
Thank you. So I just asked myself, you know, whose vision is this? Is this East Point's vision, or is this ARC and Food Alliance's vision? You know, that's been, you know, thrust upon us. I mean, yes, this sounds good, to feed everybody, but there's no specifics in their plan. Everything in their plan has to do with someone getting together to try to do something. Now, you know about entrepreneurship. How hard is that to set up and run a business? They're trying to run a business and get everything incorporated into a little hub, you know, which means they have to pull up they're not going to do it. They're going to let us hire somebody who knows about what they want to do, put them in our business and government, and have them coordinate all of this stuff. So that's the plan. They even said that we have to hire somebody to work to do this. Otherwise, who's going to do this? We're not interested in doing that. Somebody's going to come in and push their agenda. So, you know, it may sound cynical, you know, things like that, but this is the real world. And now we're dealing with a city. I mean, this is a city. This is not like, you know, up and down the street. We have thousands of people who live here. So they want to cause an effect to our zoning codes that will in the future affect everyone who comes to live here. And then they want to advertise, they say that, but they're not going to pay for it. We have to pay for it to advertise ourselves to the world that we are, in fact, the food hub of the South. Now, is that what you want to be known for? I didn't think so. We're a suburb of Atlanta, cosmopolitan city. Everybody come here from all over the world. We're not farmers. I understand what they want to do and all of that kind of stuff. And, you know, in a limited way, they can do it. But do it in where the areas that we as a city has already decided they should do this work. We have an agricultural district. We have people who want to grow food in their backyards. They can do it. So why do we have to have a hub? We need supermarkets. We need a modern delivery system of the food system. And we're not going to have that by having a farm next door to me, somebody growing food in their backyard. It's not going to happen. So I for those reasons and some others, you know, if you read this outline and think about it, there's nothing in there for the city. And then on top of that, I read that they want to, in order to help them make this their priority, to give them land grants, tax abatements, special water meter treatment. So we're losing everywhere around. So the city wants to get involved with growing food. Okay, that's my question. I don't think so. I recommend that we deny the plan.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Fields. The motion on the floor is to deny, and I am going to now say a few words as well. Commissioner Fields, I appreciate your comments. I appreciate your questions also, Commissioner Lovett, and as yours as well, Commissioner Fan. This particular agenda item had a lot of discussion at last week's work session, and I am hoping that this is a lesson for all of us, but particularly when an agenda item comes before this body and the presenters are told that there will be no questions from the commission and they are expecting that this body will take action on it. That, first of all, should have never happened. That is a no-no. There are so many questions tonight and there are so many concerns tonight because we really don't know what the plan is. As I stated last week, I think that this is a great opportunity for our city. My views will differ from those of Commissioner Fields, but I don't know, like he's saying, is there going to be, or the idea to have a garden or a farm on every corner or in everybody's backyard or whatever? I don't know that. I don't think he knows that. And my point in all of that is that this body should have had the due diligence that staff facilitated where the presenters, Ms. Baggett, Ms. Brown, any other stakeholders had the ability, any of those citizens that were appointed to the task force to come before this body to thoroughly go through the plan and to talk about any of the objectives, any of the recommendations, to get this body's feedback before it came to this body for action. So what happened for this particular agenda item, and now there's a motion to deny, is that the cart has come before the horse. That we don't need to do again, okay? So I think that a better or more appropriate motion would be to table the agenda item until we've had the opportunity to do our due diligence, because I myself have a lot of questions. And I also stated last week that we will not do committee work on the commission meeting. All of these things should have happened in a work session so that we would have been thoroughly advised of the plan, what's in the plan. This body would have had an opportunity to ask all of their questions. Macion could have come to talk about what the city is trying to do in terms of a grocer and all of those things. We simply don't know that, but the request of us is to take action on this, and the motion on the floor is to deny. Let that be a lesson. So I know that there's a motion by Commissioner Fields to deny. There's a second by Commissioner Fan, who had some questions to support that motion to deny. I personally think that a better motion would be to table until we were able to have genuine dialogue and to be able to go through the plan. I think that there are lots of benefits for the city on this, but we've not had that opportunity. The other thing that I would say is this, because we're in a Zoom setting here, I noticed that when some of the commissioners were making comments or asking questions, there was some body language that wasn't the most pleasant. This is a professionally run meeting. I ask that everyone govern themselves in a professional manner. We will always operate with professional decorum. So if your face is not fixed, please fix your face.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Fan.
You know, after your tongue lashing, I would just say that you are absolutely right in terms of we should table it, because some things that Mr. Fields has said that I agree with, some things that you've said I agree with, some things that Ms. Lovett has said I agree with, and I'm sure there are probably some others who feel the same way. So I am going to ask that we do table it, and I'm going to move for a motion as if Mr. Fields will accept it as a friendly amendment.
A substitute?
Yeah, substitute motion to table this matter for further discussion and deliberation.
Okay. Mr. Fields accepts that. And I will also say this, I want it to be very clear for the record to show, I am not adverse to this. What I'm adverse to, and it is obvious by my tone, is the way that this was presented to this body. And if you don't want this tone again, then this is not how things should come to this body when this body is asked to take action on it. We will not be a rubber stamp. This body should have the opportunity to ask questions, to hear from the presenters. We want to make sure if this is going to be adopted as a part of our comprehensive plan, that we are very well versed in all that is being presented. Again, I am a proponent for urban agriculture, but I am not a proponent for this sloppy process that we've had. So at the moment, there is a substitute motion to table this agenda item, and there's a second to that. Are there any other comments, questions, or concerns?
No discussion on the table, Mr. Chair, you know that. So we just move to it.
All in favor for the table sound aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. This agenda item is tabled. Can we please put the agenda back up? I think we're going to move now to any announcements.
Mr. Chair, I have a motion. I wanted a motion to move into this executive section with the attorney to have several matters of discussion in terms of what is we can discuss in executive session. And so that we can get clear on what we can discuss in executive session before, if we have a meeting, and we can move to executive session to discuss stuff that's out of public view. So I want to move to executive session to have that discussion with her, because there are a couple of things that came up I think we need to discuss.
Let me just double check, Commissioner, because I know typically executive session is set for three specific things, whether it's litigation, personnel, or disposition or sale of property. I'm not necessarily familiar with the Planning and Zoning Commission going into executive session for any of those three items, but let me just check the ordinance right quick and I'll be right back.
Okay, thank you so very much.
While we do wait on that, we'll take this opportunity also before Ms. Ross comes back to us. I did have another inquiry about Commissioner stipends, and I don't know if everyone has been receiving their stipends. I know that there are issues with the mail, and I don't know if staff is processing that and sending that onto finance.
Hey, how's it going?
If so, Will, could you please mute? If so, if staff is processing that and sending it to finance, I'm very happy to send an open records request to finance to find out why they're not processing them. And I can do that tomorrow if I need to.
I had the same, I'm having the same problem. I spoke to Rennie at the office, and she said that the check had been cut and sent out and everything, but I haven't received anything. And it's been like almost 3 weeks.
Right. So Will, can you please mute? Thank you. So yeah, so I actually would like for staff, and please make this a part of the record, to do a reconciliation. If you would go through every meeting to see which commissioners attended the meeting, and then check with finance to make sure that each commissioner has been compensated for those meetings that they have attended, so that we can go ahead and get to the bottom. And so my text messages and emails won't continue to get cluttered with, have we gotten paid, have we not, because I don't know. But so I would like for staff to do that. Kim, do you know how soon you guys can get that list to us, the reconciliation of that?
I don't, but I will look into that with the office manager and finance tomorrow, and then I will be able to respond to that. But I don't have an answer how long that would take.
Okay, well, let's see if I'll reach out to Rennie as well. I'd like to have something. It should be fairly simple for them to just go through their records and pull that report. So I'd like to have something next week, and I can reach out to Rennie as well. So I'll send an email out and copy you on that. Ms. Ross, did you find the information?
I do not see anything in the ordinance that gives the authority for Planning and Zoning Commission to go into executive session. I know the council does have the ability to go into executive session for the reasons I just stated. Unless it's in your bylaws, I don't see anything in the ordinance itself that speaks to the commission's ability to go into an executive session. I can, definitely follow up after this meeting with an opinion on that. But for purposes of tonight, I don't see a basis for that in the ordinance for the purposes of the commission's authority. If there are any questions from
I do have some, Ms. Ross. Thank you so very much. Mr. Chairman, if you allow me.
Yes, please, Mr. Fan.
I thank you for doing that, for clarification. But I have some concerns, and I'm going to voice them publicly, since we can't go in executive session, is that when we close a public hearing, because we are in this pandemic time, there's a reconsideration to reopen the public hearing. And so the prevailing side of the council can always go back and reconsider their previous action to go back and then allow for reconsideration of a public hearing, parliamentary procedure. That is parliamentary procedure. So we move to allow to do it again when we should have just asked for reconsideration to reopen the public hearing, because those of us who were on the prevailing side, that's all we had to say. You didn't have to have for that one person. That's all I want to say about that. But I wanted to make sure that when we are dealing with certain things, that if there is no guidance in terms of us going into executive session to discuss some things out of the public in terms of discussion, if we need to create some bylaws or something to do that, then I think, Mr. Chairman, we need to do that, because there are times when there are things that we need to discuss that amongst ourselves that we should not be airing it to the public. That's just my opinion. I don't know how other members feel, but I think that since Ms. Ross has given us that opinion, and she's going to continue to research and come back with an opine opinion, that we need to look at how we can do that and do it legally.
Yeah, I will say that it is probably in our bylaws. I know that we have had executive sessions. I've been here 20 some years. And I know that I've been in an executive session a time or two. So we'll give Ms. Ross an opportunity to look for that, Commissioner Fan, but I think that there are provisions for that.
You've been here 20 years and I've been here 20 plus years. So I'm just saying, I'm just trying to make sure for the other people that's not used to it and understand that we do know that we can do something in terms of discussing things that are not in the public. But Mr. Chairman, I respect you as the chair, you know I do, but I just want to make sure that we do things in an orderly manner and make sure that, you know, there are things that we do need to discuss that we need not to be discussing in the public.
Oh, I completely agree with that.
If I can have a copy of the most recent updated bylaws, I'll definitely take a look at it and I can follow up with an email to the body.
I just emailed them to you.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, are there any announcements? Staff, any announcements?
I do not have any announcements this evening.
Okay. Commissioners, any announcements?
Vote, vote, vote. That's the announcement.
Vote, vote, vote. That is the announcement. That is the announcement.
Unfortunately, I have an announcement.
Okay, Mr. Fields.
I'm sorry, I'm messing with you guys. Last time we were here, we talked about an inspector to go out inspecting, you know, like once the permitting department issues the permits, and then they come back and do the workup on the specifications and stuff like that. We're asked the question: is there an inspector that goes out for the department and make sure that they're following those steps? You know, like they're following the recommendations of the zoning department or the permitting department. And I sent out an email to everybody. At least I thought I did anyway, and it was a proposal to create the position of a zoning inspector. So I was wondering, is that still, you know, something that you guys are interested in? You just think we should do that?
Yes. So it sounds.
Doesn't the city already have a building inspector? Before you can occupy a space, the city has to give you the certification. Is that what you're talking about? Someone in that role?
No, someone wants to build a house, and they come to the zoning, they come to the permitting department to get the permission to disturb the earth, to put the house up. And then they come and say, this is what my house is going to look like. This is what I'm going to have to do. Or they may have to come and get a variance, you know, a setback, something like that. And then when the permission is given for them to go build a house, is there a follow-up to that particular permit? In other words, sometimes the guys, you know, the people will come perhaps, say they're going to do one thing on the land, but then they do something else, and then the community starts complaining and stuff like that about the noise or about the dust or about the dirt running down in the creek that they put on the property when it rains. So of course they have to complain about that and try to get someone to come out and try to make the people stop, you know. I think there's a department for that. But to make sure that they don't do it in the first place, to create is the question, you know. So that's what I was asking, and that's what I thought the question was about. A person in addition to the person that goes out and do violations, you know,
code enforcement.
As a body, you know, as a zoning, like Kimberly, as a director of the zoning and planning, you know, someone in your office to go out and make sure that they're doing what they said they were going to do. That's the question.
So I think that the position, it sounds like it would be somewhat similar to a code enforcement officer, but this would be a zoning enforcement officer. This would be a zoning enforcement officer.
Yes.
That would, because there's several things that this body passes that where there are conditions. And after it leaves us, quite frankly, we don't really know if the applicant is adhering to all of the conditions.
Exactly.
As set forth by this body. So it really would be someone that, like a zoning enforcer, zoning enforcement officer.
Yeah.
And so are there any positions, Kimberly, that are a part of your department that are not funded and therefore not staffed?
For that role?
Yes.
We do not have a zoning enforcement officer. We have 3 building inspectors and a chief building inspector, but for someone, we do not have, just say, we do not have a zoning enforcement officer on our staff.
Let me just ask a question, Mr. Chair. That is compliance. That's a compliance position in terms of somebody will keep up with what's in compliance in terms of what we approve or what the council approve in terms of compliance, making sure that the conditions that we put on them, that they stick to those conditions. So that would be a compliance person versus zoning totally. Because once we put those recommendations on them, we said, these are the things you got to do. Somebody has to make sure that they're in compliance to what we have. They stipulated that they agreed that they were going to do, right? Because just like you were just saying, is that they're building in the buffer. Once the building person come out there and see they're in the buffer, they already done building the buffer, right? So I mean, just cut down trees. And we've gone through that with people that cut down trees and all that other stuff, you know, prior to. So it's got to be somebody who's going to be dealing with compliance in terms of making sure that they're in compliance with what we set forth that they should be doing. Overall, in my opinion, it's more going to be compliant than it is zoning.
We don't have a zoning compliance officer as well. I know when I was in Clayton County as the zoning administrator, I did have a zoning compliance officer on staff, and so we do not have an appointed person.
You need to have one.
Yeah, that's what I'm recommending. So I put the proposal out there to see if it, you know, how do you formulate it to actually, you know, get action on something like that?
Well, the council adopts a budget every year, and it would have to be supported by council and the city manager. The manager creates the budget. He makes that proposal to council, and they look at it. They have a finance and budget committee made up of members of council, and they vote on it. They vote on the budget every year. Every position is approved by council.
So can we get this formulated?
The budget process.
In a proposal, something like that? I'm just asking, you know, I did write something here. I could read it to you, but I did send the email. So, but in other words, if we want to do it, let's write it and send it to them and see what they say.
And yes. So Kim, yes, the process is that the council will approve, but when the city is going through the budgeting process, are the departments to submit to the city manager what positions they'd like? I think that this body is asking that as a part of your submission, if you would include a zoning compliance officer, and maybe we could use the job description instead of reinventing one, if you thought it was a good job description from the city, from Clayton County, so that there is someone that is going out to make sure that those things are being adhered to as passed by this body.
Will do.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
If you can share that position with us once you get that information, that would be great, that job description.
Will do. I'll email it to everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other announcements? Hearing none, seeing none, commissioners, at this time I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Fields, second by Commissioner McKnight, that we adjourn. All in favor sound aye.
Aye.
All opposed sound nay. Hearing none, the ayes have it. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Valerie, good to see you.
You too. I'll be in touch regarding executive session.
Okay. All right.
All right. Thank you.
Bye-bye.